Hit it, boys.
Happy Thursday, HTF Bet fanatics. Welcome to another episode and another week where Nick Geddes is out. So Sean Green is back with us again wearing Orlando Blue Magic because we're going to discuss the shortness that is the NBA free agency. So Sean, welcome back. I think this is the third week you've been on. How you been, buddy?
I miss Nick. I'm gonna be honest. I love being on the show, but after a while, I every time I have to talk to Okelo each week, my soul just goes deeper and deeper down.
Can't talk to me anymore.
Listen.
The next segment.
I love Okelo to death, but I need a break from the show. I just need a break. I need to get us back.
Now you're starting to lose the game, so you need to slice down a humble pie. But don't worry, we'll take care of that in the next segment. Robert, my usual amigo, part of the two of the three. How we doing today?
I'm doing well. The draft's going to be weird because the Lakers aren't picking, but you know what? That's okay because they're getting Dennis Schroeder, so that's all good with me.
Well, it's a lot to talk about with the draft as well as the shortness of this NBA offseason because, as you mentioned, the draft happened yesterday, as well as the fact that, now there's only going to be a couple weeks before training camp and then the NBA starts this Christmas. So we're going to get one of, if not one of the oddest NBA seasons, if not from last year, starting again this year. And primarily, it's as well with free agency. We already got some big deals going down. We have Chris Paul to the Phoenix Suns. We got Drew Holiday to get to the Milwaukee Bucks to help Giannis Antetokounmpo out, as well as Bogdanovic for the Kings. But one of the biggest NBA offseason moves has been what the Rockets are going to do, whether this is the time to blow everything up, trade James Harden and Russell Westbrook, or maybe ride this out one more season. This has been one of the heaviest discussions all off season, as it looks like James Harden and Russell Westbrook want out. James Harden looking like he wants to be in a super team with the Nets, join maybe KD and Kyrie, or he wants to potentially join Philadelphia, as well as Westbrook potentially going to Charlotte. So many storylines. Sean, I want to start with you. These are two, if not one of the top 10 stars in the NBA. They were on the same team. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in the end against Robert's Lakers. What are we projecting in terms of James Harden and Russell Westbrook? Are we going to see them maybe stick around in H-Town despite the unhappiness, or do you think we're going to see a trade maybe before or during the season?
Yeah, they're definitely getting traded. I don't think you look at this roster and continue to say they're title contenders. I think let's just keep going back. You had James Harden and Carmelo, and that didn't work out. Then you have James Harden and Chris Paul, and that didn't work out. Then you get Russell Westbrook and James Harden. That clearly doesn't work out. And the reason why, and it's nothing against them, it's when you put selfish players together, it tends to not work out. Russell Westbrook is a very selfish player. Russell Westbrook doesn't care about what team he goes to. He just wants to be the guy. He wants to be able to take over games. He wants to be able to shoot when he wants. And listen, if you don't have another star player on the team, who's going to call you out for it? James Harden's case, it's kind of the complete opposite. James Harden, again, you're a selfish player. When you have good players around you, it makes you better. But again, when you get in the NBA, we've known time and time again, you can't be a one-star player on a team and expect to make it far. So, yes, I think it's only a matter of time, especially with Daryl Morey now with the Philadelphia 76ers. The Houston Rockets are now, unfortunately, going to blow it up. They're going to blow the whole team up. Something's not working. It stinks. I feel sorry for Rockets fans. Old Jeremy Brunner, I feel so sorry for your team, but it's getting blown up within the next month or two. The Rockets are going to need a bunch of people, a bunch of picks and players, because they're not going to give these guys up for free. But if they trade James Harden to the Nets, they're not giving up Kyrie or KD. So you're getting a bunch of rotational players and first-round draft picks that aren't going to matter. So the Rockets are done.
No, I absolutely agree. I think every team has a championship window, and the Rockets had theirs for a while. And as you mentioned, the names that came before, Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, even Dwight Howard back in 2014-15 when he was there. And every year with the Rockets, it was like James Harden was great in the regular season, couldn't get it done in the postseason. And unfortunately, it ended this season with the weird NBA season that it was to Robert's Lakers. So, Robert, I want to talk to you now. Sean mentioned Philadelphia, where Daryl Morey looks like he's trying his best to bring James Harden in, but James Harden has expressed interest in coming to the Brooklyn Nets. Are we going to see the super team in Brooklyn? And do you think the Nets would probably give up a lot? I mean, they've done it before previously with the old big three, which was Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett with Devin Brooks. That didn't work out. Could we see something of the similarity, or are we going to see more just first round picks? Or do you think maybe even, I think, you trade James Harden for Ben Simmons?
Yeah, I mean, I think if James Harden and up until really recently and until like Woj's reporting and stuff like that, I really didn't believe that it would be, possible that James Harden gets traded and all that. So I think for the Brooklyn Nets, yeah, they're going to have to give up a lot. They're going to have to give up somebody like probably Karis LeVert, probably Joe Harris. You're talking first round picks, maybe some other role players, bench players. It's not going to be easy, but to get the prospect of Kyrie, KD, and James Harden together, it's probably worth it. I mean, you're probably not talking about a team that's going to be able to be competitive for a long time, just because you don't know how long that's going to last. But for sure, I think you're going to be able to get at least one or two title runs out of them, and perhaps the East is not super strong. Even if I think Milwaukee's probably the biggest competition right now. Milwaukee got a lot better with Drew Holiday. So, yeah, I mean, I think if Harden goes anywhere, I don't see him going to Philadelphia. I honestly think it's Houston, Brooklyn, or bust. I think he either stays and Westbrook goes. I think Westbrook's probably more of 100% gone. I think Harden either stays in Houston or they figure a trade out, some mega deal out, and he goes to Brooklyn. That's where I'm at with James Harden.
My issue, though, with the Brooklyn Nets with this potential trade, selfish players. Kyrie and KD, as a lot of people like to say, they are kind of selfish players because we know Kyrie, when the game's on the line, he wants the ball in his hands. Kevin Durant, when the game's on the line, he wants the ball in his hands. But these two players have developed at least a year bond, even though Kevin Durant didn't play, to where I have more comfortability of those two together than just pairing James Harden coming in with less time to develop chemistry. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster. I feel like he would be a much better fit with the Philadelphia 76ers. I feel like if he tags team with Joel Embiid, I think you probably potentially solve the situation with Ben Simmons, because I think if you have the pieces there in Philadelphia, I mean, they got still Tobias Harris. I know they just recently traded out Horford, but he's a second man backup. Maybe if Josh Richardson progresses with the team after a not so good first year, I still think that there's something for the 76ers team to be able to compete. I really think that if the best landing odds are for James Harden, it has to be with the Philadelphia 76ers, because I see no other fit with any other team. And I think you look at the 76ers, they're looking for that one explosive offensive superstar to just coincide with Joel Embiid. And I think James Harden might be the answer. But for Russell Westbrook, though, Robert, signs are just pointing to him to the Charlotte Hornets out of all teams. He has a good relationship with the owner, which is, of course, the legendary Michael Jordan. But, I mean, to go from a player that wants to contend to a championship to a question mark of a team in the East, are you seeing him maybe potentially heading to North Carolina, or are we looking at another team in the East or the West that could potentially use?
Yeah, I mean, with Russell Westbrook, it's weird.
Robert?
I don't really know what's going to happen with him at this point. I mean, if you would have asked me, where's Russell Westbrook going to get traded to, I wouldn't have said it. I wouldn't have said Charlotte at all, because Charlotte's not a competing team. They're at this point, since they've traded Kemba Walker, they're just completely out of the running. They're a rebuilding team. That is that's what they are. They have Nicholas Batum's awful contract, and that's it. But if he decides to go there, I really don't know what the aspects are there. Maybe they believe he can sort of lead the franchise to, at least an 8 seed or something like that. I don't know. I don't think they're good enough, even with Westbrook, to get an 8 seed. I don't think they're going to be that good of a team. So it'd be interesting to see what happens if he ends up in Charlotte, just because Charlotte really does need, and I think this is more for Michael Jordan, they really do need a star player to get them out of this just complete basement that they're in right now, popularity wise and franchise wise. So I really don't know what they do. I can see it happening. I can see him in a Charlotte jersey. I just don't think it really makes a ton of sense for either side, especially for Westbrook, who's over 30 now. He's not going to get much chances to compete for a title, and he's certainly not going to get that chance with Charlotte. And for Charlotte, are they really going to want to invest that much money in another guy that, maybe they're not going to be any better than they are? They'll be better, but, are they really going to be a competitive team? So it's a little bit of a head scratcher, but, maybe Michael Jordan sees something there where he can make it work, and Russell Westbrook can be a nice fit there.
It will be interesting to see. I mean, Charlotte, out of all teams, Sean, he's been also linked to the Orlando Magic. I mean, obviously, Aaron Gordon is potentially likely going to leave the Magic soon. There is trade rumors. Is he maybe coming to the Sunshine State, maybe to Disneyland, or do you maybe see another team looking for his services? Any wild card teams maybe we haven't heard of?
Yeah, there's no way he's coming to the Magic. I would probably bet the house on that. He's not coming to the Magic. Listen, there's a positive and a negative to everything. The positive is you're getting a superstar player to come play for you. The Magic need a guy like that. Right now, I think one thing that I've heard great that really simulates what the Magic are is there are a bunch of players that are probably the second to third best players on any NBA team, just in one big team. So they don't have a superstar. They have 2 to 3 of the best players on any given team. So that's not going to get you in contention for anything. The Magic are not going to get a guy like Russell Westbrook because, again, like you said, Okelo, his cap space is $38 to $40 million. Number one, the Magic don't have that. Number two, the Magic aren't going to blow an entire roster up just to cater to a selfish player like Russell Westbrook. The whole Magic mantra with Jeff Weltman, John Hammond, the new front office that took over a couple of years ago is we want good character guys, unselfish players that love to play defense, and players that play for each other. Russell Westbrook does not fit any of those qualities that the Magic would want. So we'll see. I do think when you're looking at possible, places that Russell can go, I think you haven't mentioned it, but the Knicks need a guy. They have a bunch of cap space that they, listen, you got a bunch of guys off the books.
Yeah.
The Knicks need, trust me, I don't like it. I do not like, I like Russell Westbrook as a player, but when you go, he's a fun guy to watch. But let's be real here. I don't ever think the guy's going to win a championship. He doesn't, I don't really think he cares. You don't watch Russell Westbrook and think that guy wants to win a championship. When I look at Russell Westbrook, I think this guy wants to pad his stats. This guy wants to play basketball and make a couple bucks. I don't see a championship mindset because when you hear rumors coming out of him saying, yeah, I want to be the guy again, I don't care what team I go to. There's a difference between James Harden's mindset, which is I'm a really good player. I'm a top 5 player in the league, and I want to win a championship before my time's up. And Russell Westbrook, who says, I don't want to go to a super team. I'll go to Charlotte where there's literally no good players and win there. So there's a difference in mantra. The Magic, absolutely not. I say it's between New York and Charlotte, or unless some random team like Washington comes up. But those are probably the 3 options.
You mentioned Washington. There was almost a trade that went through that John Wall could have been even shipped in that package. And you know what, Sean, I will say this, I've heard the Knicks as well. I'm disgusted that he even thought of that mindset because trust me, I wouldn't want to play for a disgusting owner like James Dolan and just the epitome of mess that is the franchise of the Knicks. But you know what? It just surprises me that Russell Westbrook doesn't even want to go to a big team. And I had him personally thinking that he should come to South Florida, play for the Miami Heat. I think maybe a potential piece there. Maybe you give up Kendrick Nunn. Maybe you give up Kelly Olynyk and maybe just a first-round pick. And I think you add already to a championship depth roster. It would be interesting if Pat Riley wants to make that move. But then again, when you have like you said, an alpha male player, who wants the ball in his hands and stuff. I don't even know if that dynamic would work out because Jimmy Butler has shown that this is my team. You don't mess with my team. And
so I know we're on a time limit. The only problem, and this is again, there's a thing called cap space. The Miami Heat, they just don't have any. Like it was a struggle just to get Jimmy Butler. So now you're completely asking them to go out. They would have to do so much work. And trust me, I think it'd be a decent fit. Like he's a hard-nosed, gritty guy. But you need to trade Tyler Hero. You need to trade all of your younger assets. You need to trade all of your picks, plus get rid of some big contracts. It's almost impossible. But I get what you're saying. Like it would be an interesting fit, but yeah, there's no chance of that happening.
Unless Pat Riley wants to make a big move, that's what I want to do. I know that we're running up a little bit on time, but outside of the draft and things, I just want to get to 2 final points on today's show, and that deals with title odds. And as Robert mentioned, the Bucks made big moves. According to Sportsline, they're now a 5-1 in terms of being an NBA champion. Sean, do these moves screen that the Milwaukee Bucks are going to be Eastern Conference champions, let alone NBA champions? And do you see them making these moves necessary enough to keep Giannis for next year?
I'll keep it simple, and I'll go to Robert. Absolutely not. They won't beat the Lakers. The Lakers have a deeper team. Milwaukee can make all the trades. They can make all the moves all they want. These deals aren't going to do much for them. Like, it's a good trade. Let's hope it goes through first. Let's also preface that sign and trade needs to go through. But they need a bunch of things to go right. First of all, Chris Middleton and Bogdan Bogdanovic play the same position. If you're going to go Middleton, Bogdan, Giannis, you can't really play with the center. You kind of have to go small ball at some point. Because the center's going to slow you down. That's supposed to be a fast-paced offense. Lakers are the better team. Lakers have more of a depth perception, and that's where I'll swing it to Robert. You should be asking Robert Lakers' chances to beat the Bucks, where it's almost a too obvious factor. The Bucks need to actually get to a finals first.
No, I do agree. So, Robert, I mean, the moves the Bucks made, is it enough? Do you see them going to the NBA Finals? Do you maybe see the Nets being the team that get it? How's Milwaukee's chances looking?
Yeah, I mean, they should be better. I think they'll definitely get far. They should get further in the East this year. But I mean, losing to the Heat in the second round, you have to go up from there, especially with the amount of talent that they should have on that team now. So I think Milwaukee can get out of the East. I mean, if Brooklyn gets James Harden, it's probably a little bit harder for them to do that. But they should have a path to get to the East. I'm going to have to echo Sean here. It's not just because I'm a Lakers fan. I think the Lakers got better. I mean, even if they lose Rajon Rondo and whatever happens in free agency with them, they're likely getting KCP back. They're going to sign Anthony Davis to the max. Now they have Dennis Schroeder, a guy that averages 20 off the bench and was second in voting for Sixth Man of the Year. Yeah, I think the Lakers are only better. And it's going to be very, very tough for any team in the East, especially. I think the West is a lot tougher than the East. I think it's going to be very tough for a lot of the teams in the East to be a team like the Lakers. It's going to be very hard. So I really like the Lakers' chances coming into next season. I'm not saying they're going to repeat. I'm not saying they won't. But it's going to be very interesting. All I'll say is Milwaukee's chances should be better to get out of the East and get into the finals. If they don't, you can kiss Giannis goodbye.
No, absolutely. But, just real quick, I know we all think that the Lakers are a premier team, and don't get me wrong, they are, the front runners, but I'm just saying, don't disrespect my Denver Nuggets. It ain't look like we make a move yet, but I'm telling you this, we're going to make something happen. Bol, Michael Porter Jr. are going to come back. But, again, that's a discussion for another day. Staying in the Western Conference, Klay Thompson suffered a big injury. Looks like he could potentially be out to the start of the season, leaving Steph Curry on an island. Robert, are the Warriors still a title contender, a top 5 team without Klay Thompson at the start, or do you think that you could just kiss the dynasty days goodbye?
I mean, yeah, the Golden State, has a top pick. They got, they still have Wiggins for now, whatever you want to put into that. They have Draymond Green. Klay will be back at some point, I'm assuming. They have Steph still. Yes, they're a competing team. I think they'll be much better this year, but it's going to come down to a lot of luck and a lot of injury-free moments. And right now, they're already getting started off on the wrong foot with Klay being injured again. So he's the biggest X factor. If you can have him healthy, they're going to be fine. If he's hurt like he is already, it's going to be very tough for them.
Sean, when one team goes down, another team seems to step up. With the Suns, I mean, they just got a big help getting Chris Paul. He had an amazing turnaround season with the Thunder last year. With the Warriors potentially not being a top 5 team in the West, with the Suns making this move, are they going back to the playoffs for the first time in over a decade? Or are the Suns an automatically top 5 team? Or are we just seeing them as just like middle of the pack? We'll see what we see when we come the regular season.
It's an interesting question. I don't really love, I'm 50-50 on the move in general. Again, Chris Paul, again, well, it's not even just the loss of Kelly Oubre. I think they gave up a lot for a very old point guard, Chris Paul. And granted, again, he is a floor general. They're looking to help Devin Booker. They're not looking for the betterment of the team. They're looking, hey, we need to help our star player. I need to see how they play. I assume it'll work, but if Chris Paul does, listen, let's be real here. He was the star of OKC last year. He was the team. He did everything to win those games for OKC, and he got them to the playoffs. And again, we talk about selfishness, and I've never known Chris Paul to be selfish, but if Chris Paul, tries to take over a game or tries to do too much, that's going to cause there to be a rift. Because remember, you have Ayton who needs the ball. You need Booker who needs the ball. I think for the Suns to be successful, Chris Paul needs to be that floor manager, that floor general that he's always been, and get the ball to your young stars and kind of step back out of the limelight a little bit and let them shine.
No, absolutely. But I'll say this though, Sean, it wasn't just Chris Paul alone. I mean, you had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Dennis Schroeder, as Robert mentioned, 6th man of the year. You still had Steven Adams on that team. I mean, and granted, he took a team that had a 0.2% chance at the beginning of the season to make the playoffs, and he made them a top 5 team. I mean, I automatically think with the Warriors now, I mean, you look at it, it's the Lakers, it's the Nuggets, it's the Clippers as the top 3 teams, and then potentially maybe you have maybe Phoenix, maybe Dallas up next, and then Phoenix maybe creep in. You have your top 5 teams in the West right there. So I look at it and I think the Suns are maybe going back to an old days where it was Nash, Stoudemire, and them. Who knows? We may turn back the clock and see a revitalization of this franchise as a playoff contender. And who sees where it goes? But I'm interested to see it play out. I do think that they're a top 5 team now, especially now with the Warriors dealing with their injuries. This leads it wide open. Like you said, it will be interesting how to play. But after what Chris Paul showed me last year, Father Time hasn't seemed like it's creeped up on him. Year 17, he was just as dominant as ever. And I think personally, you're going to see him take off for the Phoenix Suns. Man, the NBA season is just right around the corner. It's weird because it's right around Thanksgiving, close to Christmas, where the season already would be played. But between the draft yesterday and between free agency, man, all I have to say is get your popcorn ready because we're going to be in for a show. And speaking of which, we have more today on HTF Bets. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit of fantasy football as well as the look ahead to our bets of the week, which is college football, NFL, or anything else that's been going on around the world of sports. Stay tuned. HTF Bets. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to HTF Bets. And you know what? I'm just going to pull the Band-Aid right off as we head into fantasy this week. Okelo, congratulations on your first win. Of course, the only one that says I want him to get a win this season. And, of course, it comes back to bite me. So, Okelo, I'll give you the floor for a minute or so here. Go ahead. Talk your talk.
Let's just say victory feels so good. It's been 9 long weeks, and Sean was always laughing at my team. And the expectation was to go 0-12. And, boy, I feel gooder than ever. I got the shades on Miami. It's a party. It's a party up in this, man. I feel like singing that song by Bill Withers. I know today is going to be a lovely day. Oh, I feel so good having a little celebration drink in between.
It's iced tea, folks. I swear it's not alcohol. I promise.
I'm just like, it's like Dr. Pepper mixing, but but we had to do stuff for all of those HTF fanatics and Okelo holics who were expecting me to shave. I apologize. I'm going to Okelo. We're going to shave off the beard. I'm going to make a contribution as of right now to $30 for the month of November, and I dedicate my next victory, if I win, to donate $10, as well as our absentee Nick. If he shall lose, he will donate some money to Movember to promote men's health. So I'm feeling good like I should. He's gonna have to agree. We need this for men's health. But I'm just feeling good like I should all around the neighborhood. So I'm just gonna kick my feet up and just enjoy this.
Okelaholics also love your internet connection. It's always amazing on HTF Bets. So
Hey, let me enjoy my moment, Sean. Let me enjoy my moment.
All right, let's get to what my start. Robert, I'm just gonna say my start. I'm already tired.
Go ahead.
My start is going to be Damian Harris. Again, having a great season. He's really had no touchdown runs. He's really had the bulk of the carries. Rex Burkhead has kind of taken the receptions. So I'm going to go Damian Harris finally gets that touchdown against the Houston Texans and runs for about 100 yards. So that'll score you hopefully around 18, 19 points. That's my start of the week. Thank you.
Good stuff.
Right.
Good stuff.
Wow.
Okay,
you didn't even
what's your
get time
start?
for the host to say stuff, but Sean, you disrespectful as always. But my start of the week, I'm gonna go for the red hot Pittsburgh Steelers and their wide receiver of the future, Chase Claypool. He has been a monster in terms of rookie wide receivers this year. He's got a fantastic matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars this week, getting the bulk of the receptions as well as the targets in the Steelers offense. Chase Claypool has, if not been start to finish, one of the best rookies this season. Granted, you have Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Justin Jefferson, even James Robinson. But I love Chase this week. I expect him to continue to stay red hot. So this Fighting Irish is going to keep fighting on for your team, and he's going to be a top 10 receiver when it's all said and done this week in Duval.
Good stuff. Good stuff. My start of the week, I'm going T. Higgins. They're playing Washington this week. T. Higgins has put up at least 18 points in his last three of his last 4 games. Since week 3, he's put up at least double digits. He had 22.5 against the Steelers, so he is red hot right now. It's hard-pressed to find a hotter receiver than him right now, and Washington allows a lot of fantasy points to receivers, so this is a match made in heaven as far as I'm concerned. I expect his production to continue this week. He is a must-start. If he wasn't already a must-start for you, he's a must-start now and probably for the rest of the season. So now that we have our starts out of the way, Sean, I'll go right back to you. Who is your sit for this week?
Yep, I'm going Chase Claypool. Again, Okelo can, say everything he wants. He also said to start Christian Kirk last week, and that ended up making me lose. So I actually listened to Okelo.
DeAndre Hopkins. So that's the pot calling the kettle black, sir.
Okay, so again, last week, I actually listened to Okelo, you Okeloholics. Listen, I actually listened to your guy. I listened to him. I started Christian Kirk, and I ended up losing by 20 points. So thank Okelo for my loss. That's fine. I'm glad he's going to donate some money to men's health. That's great. But I lost. So I'm not listening to Okelo. Chase Claypool on the bench. The Steelers have so many more weapons. It's not going to go to Chase Claypool every time. They have Juju, Deontay Johnson, James Conner. They've got a bunch of people. Do not start Chase Claypool. Sit him on your bench if you know what you're doing.
All right, a little bit of a controversial take there from Sean. Okelo, who's your sit this week?
Out of respect for you, my wonderful co-host, unlike some other people, I'm gonna go for somebody that who did well for your team. Almost partially was the reason I could have lost, but with this matchup and your team, Robert, I don't think so. I'm gonna sit Ronald Jones. He's facing the Rams defense. It's one of the toughest run defenses in the NFL. They give up the 4th fewest fantasy points to running backs, and I'm just concerned a little bit, because it's going to be Aaron Donald. It's going to be that front for the Rams that Tom Brady and that offense are going to deal with all night. Ronald Jones has been playing well this season, and he's come up to be one of, if not one of the top 15 backs in fantasy. But I'm going to pump the brakes on this matchup because this Rams defense is stupendous. They're terrifying. And against the run, even though they gave up a rushing touchdown to Alex Collins last week, I'm going to pump the brakes. I don't think Ronald Jones finishes within the top 5 or top 10 in running backs this week. This is a pretty tough matchup, but I'm going to say you have to bench him.
All right, well, that's a consideration for my fantasy team since I have him. As for my sit this week, I'm going Todd Gurley. Falcons are playing the Saints this week. Saints allow the 2nd fewest rushing yards to running backs over the past month. So their defense has been great. against the rush. Todd Gurley's very dependent on touchdowns coming from rushes. They've only allowed 3 all season to running backs, so it's going to be very tough for the Falcons, even with Gurley getting touchdowns in the end zone, getting those rushing touchdowns in. It's going to be very hard, I think, for the Falcons to put up points against a good Saints defense, and especially a really, really good Saints rushing defense. So I think for this week, I think you have to sit Todd Gurley. The matchup just isn't there, and I think the Saints will probably shut down the run pretty handedly, I think, come this weekend. So with that being said, real quick here, love to see it. Good picks, good sits. When we come back, we're going to talk bet of the week, and that'll close out our show for this week. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned.
All right, everybody, welcome back to HTF Bets. Well, we've made the end of the show, and as you guys know, it's bet of the week time. I think we're going to have some, I don't know what you call it. We're all betting pretty much the same thing, which is kind of rare on HTF Bets. We'll start with Okelo. For future, we were talking about what our bet was going to be before the show, and Okelo wanted to bet on something different, but he's not. He's betting on the game that we're all going to bet on. So, Okelo, what is your bet of the week?
I'll have to do it on Instagram for another time while I shave my beard, but we're going to stick to the city, the school that we all know and love in Orlando, the University of Central Florida, for their big game this week against the Cincinnati Bearcats. I'm betting on UCF to run the table, to come back close to 2 years after a wonderful game when College Game Day was here. I'm betting on the UCF Knights at 13.5 to beat the Cincinnati Bearcats and upset the only unbeaten team in the AAC to win the game and to shock the world one more time.
I would be shocked if you got that spread. If you did, good for you. If you got a plus 13.5 for UCF, congratulations, because that's a pretty good spread. Robert, I'm going to let you talk, and then I'm going to get a prop. So go ahead and who are you betting on this week?
Oh, well, shocker. I'm going to bet on UCF because, UCF, they've been playing much better defense as of late. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just more maturity. I don't know if they've been practicing more stuff. I really don't know what's up with UCF, but they look much better since the 2 losses. They haven't missed a beat. The defense has gotten much better. That was their weakest point. They're starting to take a lot less penalties, thank God, because they were taking so many the first couple weeks of the season. And right now, there's not much that stands in the way of Cincinnati. If Cincinnati gets through UCF, it's pretty much done and dusted that they're going to the AAC championship game, and they're probably going to finish the season ranked in the top 6. So if UCF can upset them, UCF will likely be ranked again. But you know what? I like the spread. I think it's going to be a close game. Cincinnati's defense is really, really good. It's the best in the AAC, I believe. So it's going to be very tough. The spread is going to be very close, but I think UCF will get it done. I think, they've been here before. They're at home. I think they can upset Cincinnati, and I think they can take home a huge victory that will likely get them into the top 25 next week.
This game, I feel, is it's a very nerve-wracking game as a fan. And when I'm looking on the outside, looking in, Cincinnati is a great team. But I can't, in good conscience, go to UCF and bet on the Bearcats. So I will be repping the Knights. Listen, it's not a helmet. I'm sorry. What else am I supposed to do? I have to do something. Like, here you go. This is the best I can do. I'm going UCF plus 6. It's a great spread. There's going to be a lot of points, even if – now, I'm not saying UCF's going to lose, but even if UCF lost, I think it's more of a field goal type of game with the offense UCF produces. Cincinnati hasn't played an offense like UCF this season. Maybe Trey Nixon comes back. Again, we don't know because we never get told anything about Trey Nixon. So hopefully we see Trey Nixon. If not, again, Jalen Flash Robinson. You got Marlon Williams, the running back by committee, Dylan Gabriel. This team, young defensive core, they can do it. They need the game. And if not, we're not even going to think about if not. UCF is going to beat Cincinnati. I'm hoping. Okay.
Charge on, baby.
Here you go. Okelo, close out the show, man.
Well, thank you so much, Sean, for bringing it back home. For all the good folks here at HTF Bets, we wish you all a wonderful and happy weekend, as well as go Knights, charge on. We'll see you back in another few weeks. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.